through the huge house that soon she would call her own. Her little feet brushed the floor without making a sound, her breath slow and quiet, and her mind scattered, giving very close thought to every detail of the house. She had never felt so lonely, and the house didn't contribute much, due to the unbearable silence that grew as each second passed. Her mom and dad were in the house, yet all she could hear was the emptiness. Her hand touched every object, and as she reached the table and knocked a pen down, her eyes started filling with tears. Her body crumbled, and she fell into the floor, eyes misty and hands shaky. She could recall the events that led her into the house, and her parents were the ones to blame. And John gave their life to protect Alice, their minds focused only on the well-being of their child. The year 3001 was just around the corner, and they were planning on giving Alice a huge surprise. New Year's Eve arrived, and with it came the surprise. Alice and her parents were leaving their home in New York and establishing their lives in a foreign island built by the U.S. government. The island was designed to suit and fulfill the needs of all of the wealthiest people in the entire country, and Alice and her family were on the top of the list. The money her parents had placed her in a very uncomfortable position with other people in her school. Kids despised her, and their jealousy grew each day. Since Alice was 4, she had been 3 feet tall, with tiny arms, nose, eyes, and lips. For the next 2 years, she didn't grow much, and lacked strength and willpower. She was very wise, and was a ginger with green eyes, freckles, and pale skin. Her sweet, innocent, tender attitude deprived her from social interactions with her classmates and family, so Miranda and John believed her that mixing her with people closer to the social status would instantly provide her more friends. The night of January 15th, Alice was dragged down the airport, through the gate, and into her plane seat. She tucked herself into her mother's arms, and as the cold moonlight caressed her face, Alice was deeply buried in her own thoughts. I will miss the kids enjoying an afternoon on the playground outside my window. I will miss their laughter and their smiles. I know we never spoke, but I was gathering the courage, the strength to finally speak up. Why did my parents drag me away? Why did they have to make me restart the process of adapting? Why did they? Until finally she fell asleep. As the sun arose, Alice glanced through the small window and saw an island placed in the middle of the ocean. The plane zigzagged through tall, skinny buildings and landed on a freeway packed with amazing gadgets, especially robots that carried luggage and helped people get down from the planes. When Alice walked down the staircase, she was greeted with a cocktail and some flowers. She put the flowers around her head, and her mother scolded her because she didn't look fancy enough. "Mommy, but I like the flowers around my head. They make me look pretty," she said shyly. "Okay, Alice, that's about enough. If I say you take them off, what do you do immediately?" "Take them off. I know, Mom," she stuttered as she let those words out of her mouth. "Well, isn't that a good girl? Now, go and receive your luggage and head to the car." "All right, Mom." She started walking and her voice began to crumble. See around her were glass buildings, white, tidy houses, and the weirdest of all, roads that were on the ground but were on the sky. She looked for the car and hopped on it. She waited for her parents, but they were busy talking to some other people who seemed highly more important than her. Their parents got in, and after what felt like forever, the car began to levitate, playing light. For a few seconds, the car descended and landed in the porch of a white house. No, it was not a house, it was more like a mansion. An edification with more than 4 walls, 1,000 windows, doors of all sizes, lengths, and shapes, and it was about 3 stories high. It looked like the castles in Alice's fairy tales. So awesome, so fantastic. "Mommy, Daddy, what is this place? Is it a castle?" "Oh, don't be silly, Alice," said her mother, apparently making fun of her. "What I mean is that this place is not a castle, it is our house." Alice's jaw slowly dropped, revealing a huge white smile that her parents had not seen in a while. She began walking towards the house with hypnotic eyes, her face shining like a diamond. Just before the door, she saw a couple girls walking by. She instantly thought that they were going to laugh at her clothes, or her hair, or her face. In a glimpse, she saw the 2 girls murmuring, and her heart leaped. She covered her face and turned around, like she usually did. That is when she realized that life was going to be exactly the same. And she was going to be the same insecure little girl, the same self-destructing machine. Her smile faded, leaving only its ghost behind. Her parents told her they had a very big surprise for her inside. They forced her into the house, leading her through the most extensive hall she had ever seen. Finally, they stopped at a huge door. They entered, and the room was all mint green, with an adjustable bed, an immense flat screen, a living, a courtyard, a computer, a tablet, and the hologram phone. "We hope all of this will take the sadness away," said her parents. "Yeah, I hope so," she said, as she faced the fact that her parents were neglecting her and replacing themselves with the stupid stuff they were giving her. She decided to check out the courtyard. She walked out the huge French doors, making her way through the satin drapes. As soon as she walked outside, the sun illuminated her tiny face, and she could see dozens of fountains, rose bushes, trees, rock paths, pools, chairs, and a breathtaking view of the whole island. She walked outside, feeling like a princess, looking for her missing prince. Her confidence shattered, as it always was, her thoughts also negative, her life seeming pointless. She walked through the paths and stumbled on a rock. She heard laughter and realized it came from the kids in the park. They were all playing in the monkey bars and pushing each other on the swings. She thought that the kids had seen her fall, and now they were just laughing at her. She was certainly imagining this, for the kids were too far away to even see her. She tried to pick herself up, tripping with her own feet. She ran inside, with the annoyingly loud giggles of the kids stuck in her brain. She let herself fall on the bed, leaving a sea of tears in the pillow. Why did everyone have to laugh at her? Why couldn't they allow her to be what she was? All of these questions popped into her mind every once in a while. Alice found herself lying on a corner, her body too small to be seen in that huge house. Her father walked past her, completely oblivious of the fact that his little girl was slowly and painfully being consumed by her own thoughts. With dismay, she went to talk to her mom, hoping she would help her destroy her imagination. She stood on the doorway while her mother was yapping on the phone. What? Alice, what do you need? Mom, lately something has been bothering me and I was wondering if I could tell you about it. It's really important. I'm busy and I don't care, so here, take $100 and go buy something nice, said her mother in a very rude tone. Alice felt that two hands were shoved in her chest, and they slowly ripped her heart into tiny pieces. Her mother was using money to avoid getting involved in her life. She felt the weight of the world collapse onto her. Aren't I enough? What's wrong with me? What could I have possibly done? Why do they ignore the fact that I won't be happy with all of these ridiculous things? Alice thought to herself, feeling that she was irrelevant and that she didn't matter to anyone. Nobody noticed her. She could be in a room full of people but still feel an awful loneliness. Overthinking killed her happiness and self-esteem because sometimes it's not other people who made her feel defective, it was herself. April 14th, Alice walked into the living room where there was a huge box with a note. Dear Alice, happy birthday. We couldn't be there with you because we are working, your parents. With the note, she felt a huge wave of loneliness and the only thing she had left to do was open the box. She saw big letters spelling hologram flat screen 5000. She gave the TV a disgusted and confused look. Why would she need a flat screen? She needed support, help, not a TV. She threw the TV against the wall, smashing the screen and making the wires spark. She grabbed the box and rushed to her room. She grabbed a red crayon and decided to sketch a robot in the box. The robot was made of geometric figures and tons of buttons. Alice decided to name the box Roxy, and every once in a while Alice poured her heart out to the huge brown box. Roxy began to replace every person in Alice's life, but also gave Alice a clearer perspective about her life. Hey Alice, said Roxy once. Roxy had never talked to Alice, but Alice sure had talked to her on many occasions. Oh my God, you can actually talk. This is so amazing. I have someone to talk to. Oh, Alice, I am so excited we were able to communicate. Since now we can talk, I was wondering if I could tell you something that has been bothering me lately. Well, of course, I would be more than glad to help you. Alice and Roxy spent until midnight talking about Alice's problems. She told Alice that she was a wonderful girl, that she had values and qualities that shouldn't be hidden from other people. Roxy was a great friend, a great way of improving Alice's self-esteem and self-love. Roxy was the one who saved Alice from the shadows that lurked her mind. She told her that she was perfect the way she was, that she didn't have to try so hard for people to like her. She couldn't believe she was actually learning how to appreciate herself, and Roxy, even though she was a box, had a bigger heart than anyone she had ever known. So Roxy convinced Alice that her parents were not the best choice, and that if she was willing to do it, she could help her get out of there. Alice packed her bags, but was uncertain about what to do. Roxy, I don't know. What are my parents going to do when they find out I'm gone? Think about it, Alice. Do you think they will care? I'm not sure. They've always ignored me. I am irrelevant to them. They didn't even show up to my birthday. With her mind all made up, she ordered a jet plane and took off towards New York. She managed to fall asleep, but was woken up by the tires screeching in the concrete. When she walked down the staircase, she could feel the smell of New York. The airport never looked so shiny and new. Although it was old and rustic, for Alice it seemed the most amazing normal thing. New York was a pearl, a shiny white rock that led every other city to shame. And in comparison to the island, New York was a hidden treasure. A wave of doubts invaded her mind, and she didn't know where she was. She let Roxy out of sight for 1 minute and realized another girl had it. She went furiously after her and said, Hey, what do you think you're doing? That's my rowboat, okay? Mine, only mine. The girl's mother tried to settle the argument, and she introduced herself. Her name was Amy, and the girl's name was Christy. They realized they had the same rowboat, and Amy asked Alice if she could drive her home. Alice explained that she didn't have a home, but Amy told her that she was more than welcome to go and live with them. She realized that Christy had the same robot as her, which meant that they probably had the same problems. She jumped in the car, and through the window you could see her face, smiling. She was radiant, like the sun. She was so full of life, so full of hope.